Standing asanas are the first set of asanas we learn and practice in every yoga class. These asanas are fantastic to work on the whole body, but most of us commit 4 common mistakes which leads to injuries. In this video, I am going to explain you what are those common mistakes and why you should avoid them. The first mistake is with regard to the line of stance. What is line of stance? How we stand in any asana. So when we keep our feet hip width apart and take one foot back in the same line, not like this behind the foot, in the same parallel line is called offline stance. There are some asanas where we do inline, that means both your feet are in the same line. Let me explain you with an asana, Virabhadrasana 1. What is the ideal way of practicing Virabhadrasana 1? Feet hip width apart and stepping your left leg back in the same line. This is the ideal way of keeping your feet. This is called offline stance. But some try to keep the heels in the same line, which will create discomfort in your SI joint because right alignment of the hip is to face forward. That is also pressurizing my ankle and the knee, also creating a lot of pressure on the lumbar, lower back. Instead, you keep your feet offline and stay here however comfortable you are, where you get the stability. When you keep it in line, you might also lose balance sometimes. But here we are keeping offline to get a good stability as well as a good line of stance coming forward. So Virabhadrasana 1 is one of the asanas where we follow offline stance. Let me explain 2 more asanas which falls under this category. Parivrtta Trikonasana, feet hip width apart in the same line, stepping back and bending forward. See, I am much stable here rather than when I keep in one line, I might find issues with the balance. Instead, I move offline and open the chest, extend, coming back with good stability. Let's take another asana, Ashvasanchalanasana. So for that, we will go to Adhomukha Svanasana. A lot of people do this way with feet together and try to step in the same line, feet in one line. But in regard with good stance, feet first separated, hip width apart, then try to get your right foot close to the right palm, not in the center. Then you have a good offline stance, you are more stable and secure. And stepping back, repeat on the other side with the offline stance. Those were the postures with offline stance which will give you more stability and good alignment. The second common mistake is with regard to the width of the stance. We have asanas keeping our feet hip width apart, medium width apart as well as wide width apart. Let me explain you with an asana. Trikonasana, very commonly practiced asana. Ideal way of practicing this asana is medium width apart, keeping your heels in one line and turning the one foot, hip facing forward and going down. But a lot of people practice this asana with wide stance in order to go down or to get a full posture this way. But when I am trying to do that, number one, it is hurting my back of the knee, the hyperextension of the knee. Those who have a hyperextension, it is creating more hyperness, and people who are healthy also creating a little discomfort in the back of the knee. Number two, my lower back. When I am trying to go down with the wide legs, creating pressure on my lower back. That is the reason we will practice Trikonasana with medium stance this way, or even you can also practice it with a little more shorter stance than the wide stance. Let's look at 2 more asanas in regard with the width of stance. Parivrtta Trikonasana, revolved triangle pose, feet hip width apart, Ideal way is to step it back, little back, not too far, neither too short stance nor too wide stance, somewhere in between, and offline stance we discussed in the earlier alignment, and keeping it, this gives more stability, and you practice with the medium stance, short to medium, and coming back. One more asana is Prasarita padottanasana. This is also commonly practiced asana. This also medium stance where you keep your heels in one line, but lot of people try to do with a wide stance in order to go down and touch the floor with the head. But here, for a secured grip and a firm foundation, we want to have them hip width apart, medium width apart, and going down with a secured grip, bend. See, I am more stable here. I do not have any feeling of losing balance. Then you come down. So that was the second common mistake we looked at. The third common mistake is with regard to the alignment of lumbar, that is lower back, and the SI joint. What is SI joint? SI joint is lower part of the spine meeting the hip joint. This one, this is my entire spine, and this is my hip girdle, where it's meeting is the SI joint. So some asanas we tend to put a lot of pressure by moving it a lot, but instead keep this joint stable. Let's look at an asana, Kali asana. We are going to keep feet slightly medium width apart, toes slightly out, bending knees and going down. So lot of us try to keep the spine straight here by pulling the navel, then extending arms, which will give a lot of pressure on the lower back. Rather, I will follow my spine curvature, natural curvature, lean a little forward, let it be at its comfort space, and then work on expanding the chest, which is more mobile. Then you can be more comfortable. There is not much pressure on the lumbar. So let's look at some of the other asanas. Virabhadrasana 1 is also commonly practiced asana, where we stand with the feet hip width apart, offline stance. We take the leg back. So important alignment in warrior 1, we all know, we have to work on moving the hip forward, hip facing to the front. For that, we try to roll the hip in, and at the same time we try to draw the navel and straighten. Instead, you can follow that length of the leg and lean a little forward, create comfort to your lower back and expand the chest rather. You can do here and coming back. That will give a lesser load onto your lumbar, keeps it more comfortable, especially people with injuries and issues. The next asana is warrior 2, Virabhadrasana 2. Let's look at it. This is to be done with wide stance, heels in one line, inline stance. We turn the one foot out. The moment you turn the one foot out, what's happening? Hip is turned. But in order to achieve that right alignment, we try to force the hip to face forward, which is also hurting my knee, ankle, and lumbar especially is also undergoing stress. Rather, I will follow the hip. It's okay if it is moving slightly forward. Rather, my upper chest is more flexible, extending arms. Now work on moving the chest forward. So this is getting a good comfort and maintaining that stability of the hip, working on chest expansion and staying in the posture, rather popping out the stomach. Of course, we are drawing the navel in to secure the lower back, but not trying to straighten the entire spine. And stay here. And then turning the foot, coming back, follow the same alignments on the other side. Those were the 3 asanas taken as an example to tell you how to avoid pressure on the lumbar, especially SI joint. The fourth and the last common mistake is with regard to the alignment of the knee and the foot. Let me explain you with an asana. We will pick up Virabhadrasana 2. So Virabhadrasana 2, the stance, wide stance. First what we do, we turn the foot around, right, and bend the knee and try to keep the knee and the ankle in one line. So what happens, because of the inflexibility of the knee or the nature of this joint is just bending, so if it is not flexible enough, especially the hip, the knee starts to roll in. See, if you can see, my foot is facing front, but the knee is slightly angled. So first I'll work on how much ever I can open the knee. If it is not opening beyond this, I would correct my foot instead, toes pointing in the line of the knee. Then I will perform the entire posture. Let me explain you with couple more asanas. Kaliyasana. So we start with feet medium width apart. First what we do, all of us fix the feet, right? The moment we open the feet and bending the knee, see, my knee is already slightly pointing inward because of the nature of the joint. Instead, I would first open the knee how much ever I can, leaning a little forward, maintaining that natural curvature of the lumbar spine. And once you fix the knee, then I would work on keeping the foot in line with the knee. Wherever the knee cap is facing, the foot is facing the same line. Then I work on completing the posture. Rather, trying to keep the foot fully out, but the knee pointing somewhere, foot pointing somewhere, which will also create discomfort to the knee joint as well as the ankle coming up. Let's look at another asana, Parshvakonasana, side angle. So for this, we will take wide stance, in line, that means heels in one line, and try the foot turning out completely. When we go down, the moment we go down, there is a chance of knee dropping in. So here instead, I would work on wherever the knee pointing, either move the foot in or work on knee opening up how much ever you can, and working on mainly maintaining the foot and the knee in one line and complete the posture. Coming up. So this is a very common mistake which we are not aware, because knee and the ankle alignment we don't really look at. We focus mostly on the spine, right? So keep that in mind when you do it next time. Those were the 4 common mistakes which causes us quite a bit of injuries to our lower part of the body, that is lower back, lumbar, SI joint, knees and ankles. Hope you will follow these tips I have shared in your next practice and keep your lower body safe. Keep practicing. See you around.